just quickly, I'm Rollo and I work at YouTube, but more importantly, I'd like to introduce my other panelists. This panel is going to be about YouTube, but also about indie developers, how to grow YouTube channels, and how the kind of platform works, and how it can work for gamers as well. So first off, to my left, I have Tom, who's from the channel Mashed. Then I've got Mark, or Turps, from the OXbox. And then on the far end, I've got Mike from outside Xbox. Of course, I hope 99% of you are all subscribed to all 3 channels, but if not, I'd love if you guys could tell everyone a bit about yourself and your channel.
So I got? Yeah, cool. So my name's Tom, I'm head of channel for Mashed. What Mashed does, we make kind of animated video game comedy, so that's like satirical pieces of content, really big things like console wars, down to individual parodies of indie games and AAA titles.
My name's Mark, or Turps, part of the OXbox. We're a family of YouTube channels, about 23 of us. We make gameplay videos, let's plays, and yeah, watched a fair bit.
I'm Mike from outside Xbox. We are an Xbox YouTube channel run by people who've been kind of connected to the Xbox platform for a while. We do a weekly show called Show of the Week, which is kind of a sort of knockabout studio type thing. Plus sort of kind of BuzzFeed style list features about games and game culture and things like that. Plus the Let's Play. It's a bit of a mix.
So I want to get straight into the important bits. So I want to ask if you guys have worked with developers in the past, big and small, and how you found that, what were the good experiences and what were the bad, and let everyone know how kind of that gets on with you guys. Do you want to start, Mike?
Sure. So we have a really good relationship with a lot of developers actually. It's, you know, in terms of the big stuff, we all were kind of associated with games and Xbox before we started the channel, so that was kind of a bit of a leg up really. When we started the channel and we were doing 200 views a video, we were a bit worried everyone was going to forget about us, but actually they were really supportive because we'd sort of established ourselves in like magazines, and my colleague Andy was on Inside Xbox, which some of you may have watched on the Xbox. So that was great, but also what we've seen recently is a real sort of rise in the kind of indie game scene, and so we've also met a lot more of the kind of independent developers, and those games are coming to Xbox now, so it's been great to chat to those guys, and those guys, it won't often be a sort of existing relationship. They'll come to us on Twitter and say we really like your channel, or they'll email us, and we'll get in contact with them. But we're kind of, we're not like YouTubers who focus on Call of Duty or Minecraft or whatever really. We pretty much play everything, so we're always happy to try a game if it's fun and entertaining.
So we don't play games we don't like, so basically we get sent a lot of games, and if we like them, then we're likely to play them. I should talk, I wear another hat for a new company called Keymailer, where we basically allow developers to connect directly to YouTubers. It's quite hard to get in touch with a lot of YouTubers. They're quite ethereal beings, they don't tend to have offices or emails that they check. So we're launching a site sometime next week, I think, keymailer.co. You can sign up over there, and the idea behind that is it's relevant games, getting them out to the right people to play your game. In terms of the Yogscast, we're very fortunate because of our size and our scale that we can work with a lot of different developers, big and small. We're still playing the YouTube game like everyone else, so we want to find the next big thing. We want to play really fun, interesting new games. So we have a couple of people whose job is pretty much just playing games and trying to test them out and seeing, what we should be playing next.
So in terms of like companies we started working with, the channel kind of started only in March last year, and a lot of our content is animation or kind of slightly satirical, so we had to create content first about the video games for the companies to come. But in the last year that we've done that, one of our cartoons I know has been watched at Sony HQ in kind of Melbourne, London, Japan. We've been working kind of like guerrilla style with Playtonic on ukulele, so we made a short about that. And we've also done some other stuff where Bungie kind of got in touch and asked us to feature a number of clips that we made about Destiny. Now, like the rationale behind that was we wanted to create content that would be noticed by those companies in the hope that they would then start contacting us directly. And that's something that's starting to happen now. But we've signed NDAs with all of them, so I can't talk yet, but soon, I promise.
Just going back to what Tom was saying, one of the things I've noticed over the course of us running outside Xbox is that a lot of even quite big companies are quite happy for you to kind of take the mickey a little bit and not be too sort of, so, you know, I don't think Match would work if you know, a company was like, stop making fun of our game, but actually we're able to throw jokes in about stuff, and when we're doing Let's Plays, we'll gently make fun of stuff that's a little bit silly, but it always comes from a place where, you know, we love games, and I think the key is that and again it goes back to what Mark's saying, we tend to play stuff we like, and if we're having fun, that's the best possible like advertisement for your game, is if people are playing it and having a really, really good time.
Yeah, I mean, just to echo on that, I think a lot of developers do understand that we know our audience best. We know what people enjoy from our channel. There's so many channels out there that you guys tend to gravitate towards the YouTubers that talk about games in the way you want to have them talked about. So pretty much all the developers understand that it's best just to leave it up to us, and it will work. You know, the spikes you see in terms of sales from YouTubers playing their games is obscene. So it is one of those things where even now game developers, and I know a lot of indies, are making games specifically with the aim of trying to get people to play it on YouTube. And it's a great way to spread the word.
Can I ask about your new company? Can you tell us a little more and also how it kind of works?
Yeah, so basically Keymailer is it's opening in beta soon, next week we're going to say, or thereabouts. You can sign up over at keymailer.co. The idea is you pair up all of your accounts, and it will kind of allow the game developers and publishers to know who you are without knowing who you are, and so they'll be able to target games effectively to you. So hopefully it reduces the spam and the waste, and really just makes it easy for developers to get the games into the hands of the YouTubers, and easy for the YouTubers to get the games that they want. Because again, a lot of the big guys are still just guys in their bedrooms, and so they don't know who the PR manager or marketing guy is at the big company, or this indie game that they love, but how the heck do I get in touch with that person? So the idea is it acts as the platform to connect the developers and the gamers, and we're really kind of keen, we're really pleased with what's been built, and I feel like Steve Jobs. I can't wait for you guys to see it. It's really something special. But no, it's going to hopefully really, you know, professionalise the industry somewhat, and just help a lot of people get their games seen by the right people.
Sorry, that definitely wasn't planned. That's the first time I've heard about it, and I'm just really interested. So, okay, that's going to be incredible. But are there any tips you can give in terms of if you are indie developer and you want to get in contact? Is there a great way to do it, and are there lots of pitfalls to avoid in terms of trying to get in contact with a YouTuber?
I think what Ryan was saying about like YouTubers don't tend to check email, and you know, if they're popular, if you tweet at them, you're going to end up with, you know, lost in a kind of you know, a giant mass of sort of at replies and things like that. So yeah, it can be quite tough. Most YouTubers do tend to have like a business email address, which is on their Twitter profiles. That's usually the best place to go. They might not check it all the time, but it can be really tough. You know, the bigger they are, and those are the guys who want, you know, featuring your stuff, the harder it can be to get into contact. I would say be persistent without being annoying. If you can, you know, if you're an indie developer and you want to get hold of a YouTuber, you know, send them an email. If you don't hear anything back in a couple of weeks, you know, then give them another nudge and see how you get on. And that's really the best bet, to be honest. I mean, it can be tough because there's no centralised place yet. There you go, Turps, helping you out here, for people to get access to those YouTubers.
I'd also just personally say that sometimes it's best to aim a little lower. There are lots of channels out there with 10, 20,000 subscribers who might really want to play your games, and that's still a great way to reach lots of YouTube audience.
Yeah, it's really hard to find those gamers, you know, to those smaller channels, but relevance is key when you want to get your game played. Don't go to PewDiePie because he's got 1 billion, you know, subscribers if your game isn't one that he should be playing. You want to find those real brand ambassadors, those, if you've got an RTS game, find the biggest RTS guy out there and just, you know, keep at it and hope, or just wait a week, keymailer.co. But past that, it is all about relevance. It's not about numbers of views. You want to hit the right people with the right game.
Yeah, I mean, I was just going to say, there are other approaches that we take that have been quite successful, and we try and approach like YouTubers from multiple ways. So one way is to check out if they're affiliated to an MCN and go through the MCN. You know, MCNs are obviously kind of really focused on the development and business kind of side of things for their YouTubers, and quite often they can get through these doors that seem kind of like totally jammed up. There are other kind of third-party tools as well that are quite helpful. There's a tool called Tubular, which is a third-party analytics tool, but it kind of splits YouTubers into certain specifics from gaming and further in as well, you know, so you can kind of come at them multiple ways. But I definitely agree with what these guys are saying, that a lot of these guys, they're really focused on YouTube, they're super creative, they don't always operate to a normal office schedule, so just kind of keep on going for them. I mean, I've sometimes used the picture of Puss in Boots looking sad from Shrek, and that is what has got me responses from sometimes really big YouTubers as well. So try and catch their attention, try and be amusing in some way, you know, it doesn't always need to be dry. Sometimes if you can make somebody laugh, you know, you're really kind of like upping the chance of them getting back to you.
I work at YouTube and I find I can't get in contact with people as well, so I return your calls. Well, you do. I'm very happy about that. So I wanted to talk about live streaming, and obviously the whole EGX is being live streamed now on their channel. I want to ask you, do you guys live stream? How often? What do you think about it? And how do you do it?
Yeah, so I personally live stream 3 times a week. I play Hearthstone exceptionally badly. And that's on a different platform, but we have a lot of guys who are on YouTube gaming, and across the OXcast family we clock up you know, millions and millions of minutes watched on streaming, and as a viewer we're seeing it more and more people want that live experience, to interact with the creator and, you know, type in the chat and then see them read it and respond. That's a fantastic feeling as an audience, and it's a completely different thing to YouTube. It's very intimate, it's very kind of gonzo, and there's no editing involved. That's why I love it, because you just sit down, you play games. It's the most authentic let's play type style out there, but it isn't necessarily the most refined piece of content at the end of the day. When things go wrong, everyone shares in that experience of everything going wrong. But for me it's great. I get to find out, because of the delay of chat, that I miss lethal in Hearthstone after I've done it wrong, and you know, that I should have done this thing, but it's too late for me. So yeah, I think live streaming is one of those things that is growing and growing, and just as more and more people out there have devices that are capable of watching content they want to watch, it just opens up these worlds to them. And if you haven't tried the YouTube gaming app, grab it. It is amazing. It's what I use to digest YouTube now, rather than the YouTube app. It's a much nicer experience to enjoy games. You can browse via games themselves really easily, and that can be really great at discovering new YouTubers. If you want to, you know, see just Rocket League videos, you can go and click on Rocket League, and it serves them all up. You can see who's playing live, who else is there, and it's a great way, if you've got an interest in the game, to just find new voices.
Cool. Thanks for that as well. Live streaming, is this something?
It's not something we've done a lot of. So when the Xbox One launched, we did a 6-hour live stream from the YouTube space, which is this kind of studio in London, which if you have, is it over 10,000?
5,000.
5,000, wow, okay.
Hundreds of space.
Yeah. So that's a place where you can go. So we did a 6-hour live stream, and it was a real challenge, but because it was the launch of the console, we had a ton of stuff to cover, so loads of games to play and things like that. It was great fun. It's very much a different discipline, and not one that I would say, really got our head around yet, but it's definitely one that we're interested in. But I think, yeah, the challenges of live stream are, like you say, you know, keeping things entertaining without that kind of editing to condense things. We like to just cut out the funny bits where we're funny. The rest of the time where we're just dying constantly or whatever, that's the stuff we kind of stick in the trash can. But yeah, it's a real talent when you see these guys who are streamers rather than YouTubers, and they're brilliant at it. You know, it's amazing to us, and it feels like something that we could be good at, but there's definitely a sort of learning process. But obviously having things like YouTube gaming, the idea that I think previously the reason we kind of shied away from it was we've got a big YouTube audience. We don't have any real audience on Twitch, so it's sort of you know, getting people to discover a live stream would have been quite difficult. But now, because of the gaming app, and it favours live stream stuff, you can see when your favourite channels are live streaming. That makes it much more compelling for us, because we know people can discover that live stream. So it's definitely something we're looking into. We've been doing some great stuff on the YouTube stage, and we will be up there again at 5 PM with PlayStation Access, for another great YouTube channel. So yeah, really enjoying it. It's just about getting our heads around it and finding the time as well. You know, it's kind of we're sort of full speed on the YouTube channel, and finding that time to then do live streaming as well is tough.
What I just add there is with live, it's great, as you said, because you're there, it's done, there's no editing. At the same time, online now, people are starting to accept that if you upload an hour's live stream as VOD, they still enjoy it. So it's like you've got double value there.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, we focus pretty much on cartoons, that's our output, it's animation, and obviously animation is it's a very kind of like time-intensive and labour-consuming kind of, you know, job, it really is. And what you see at the end is often maybe 6, 7 iterations away from how it first started. So we've been focusing purely on that because that's what our audience comes to the channel for. But you know, we literally, I don't think we can make more cartoons than what we make now. I mean, we're looking for ways to kind of like, you know, increase our upload times, you know, and our regular uploads. And I think streaming is something that we're looking to get into, but at the moment we're just peering in, watching the people who do it very well and hoping like young Jedis we can learn.
I think I would love to see you create an animation, and that's the great thing about live streaming, is you guys can be working on stuff, and it's tricky when you've got NDAs and lead times and things change. But I think seeing behind the curtain is kind of what live streaming does with a lot of existing YouTube talent. And beyond that, it's more accessible, I think, than YouTube, because if you're a gamer out there, you can live stream. That's all you need to do. You don't need to have an edit software. You don't need to know about non-linear editing. You haven't got to worry about too much in terms of production quality. It's just about being engaging and funny or entertaining or whatever it is. Really good at games for some people. Just, you know, you can find an audience, and so that's really cool.
I mean, you're totally right. In fact, a lot of our animators do live stream via their own channels, but that's usually for us. Like with Matched, obviously we're kind of like a loose collaboration, working with a bunch of animators, so we have no central hub. You know, these guys can't live stream through our channel, so quite often when they do live stream, we ask them to kind of mention us and kind of mention it's for our channel and kind of like direct viewers.
You should give them your own stream key. You should just let them do it. Just let them do it.
Nice.
Yeah, that's one of the cool things. You can just now push the live stream to any channel and share it.
It's really dangerous.
Yeah, don't give
out. Put the slide up of my stream key on the side there now. But yeah, it's really, and it's a great way. Every year during December we do our charity live streams. So we've raised about 3 million quid over the past 4 years for charity, and it's through just playing games all day, really, throughout December, and then partnering up with great people, great developers support us with a Humble Bundle alongside it, and it makes such a huge difference. But that engagement of having the live stream and being told to donate is so much more effective as a drive call to action than just putting up YouTube videos was. So there's a lesson there for people who want to, you know, push other products other than charity, that the engagement and investment through live streaming seems to be really, really strong.
And there are now emoticons as well. So
yay!
Emoticons
cool.
now. Cool. I was going to ask, you guys obviously grown your channels to really large numbers. We've done it very quickly since March. When it comes to it, there's the cliche, content is king, but I'm wondering what proportion you think is great video, but also the optimization and the strategy and the work you put behind the channel.
Our approach, you know, you'll have heard of maybe SEO, like search engine optimization, which is basically when you try and work out what people are searching for and you make sure that your video is titled with that stuff. We don't completely ignore it. I mean, obviously we try and make sure people can find our stuff, but actually for us, the way we've done really, really well is having just titles people would want to click on and cool thumbnails. That's the basis of Outside Xbox's success, is just, you know, those videos that pop up on the side of YouTube. That's what, you know, if people spot something they want to click on, they'll click on it. And we find that's a bit more reliable because it's a bit more like psychology than trying to game a system. And, you know, if you try and game a system, they can always change the system. Anyway, you guys, with your sneaky engineers, can just change it. Right, so we decided we would try and sort of hack the human brain instead. But we make the kind of stuff you want to watch, right? You know, we make the kind of stuff you want to watch. People accuse us of kind of clickbait titles every so often, but there's a real difference between clickbait, for me, is a title that promises one thing and then doesn't deliver. Whereas our titles are exciting and interesting and intriguing, and then hopefully when you watch the video, that video delivers on what you clicked on. So that's been it for us, and those videos continue to do well, you know, years on, basically. So we've never had, I know a lot of YouTubers have done this kind of thing where they've had like one big viral success that's driven a ton of subscribers. You know, they made one video that did 20 million views, and they got a ton of subscribers who then all like watched a couple of videos and then disappeared again. For us, it's been a much more gradual, sort of steady thing, but we were persistent. We were trying to maintain a high level of quality, and that seems to have paid off now. We recently hit 1 million subscribers, which is an insane number. Thank you. An insane number. I try and imagine what 1 million people looks like, and it's mind-boggling. So yeah, it proves that you don't necessarily need to have just one viral, lucky breakout sort of hit. If you just keep at it and keep persistent, if you're an aspiring YouTuber, that is a way to do it. But it's taken us 3 years. It's a real sort of the grind, as they call it.
Yeah, I mean, we just earlier this week hit 6 billion views across our network, which is obscene. And you shouldn't clap me. I didn't. None of those are mine. But well, maybe a couple. But it's just this portal to reach people that's just been so ethereal before, and it's here. I put down our success to mainly being at the right place, right time. We had a show back when YouTube had shows called Minecraft, and it used to be returned at the top of the search results. Minecraft was quite a popular search result for many years, and it definitely helped introduce us to a lot of people. What we discovered though is people seeing your content is the first battle, but watching it, enjoying it, and then returning for future content, that's what you really need to concentrate on. Once you get that audience coming back, you start to build retention and watch time, and then YouTube puts more of your videos in front of those people because they think, hey, you're quite good, you seem to work with this guy, so here's more of their stuff. And so you kind of feed the beast that way. SEO is really important, it does help. I think what Mike's chatting about, having attractive thumbnails, titles that are interesting. I mean, I don't know if anyone here watches Vsauce, but I'm addicted to it. And they have stuff like, what does a shadow weigh? It's like, I don't know. I want to click it though, find out. I don't understand any of the videos, but I enjoy it. And I think that trying to pose those questions or make something that's exciting and just inviting people into your content is definitely a worthwhile activity.
I mean, when we first started off, SEO was very important for us. We had a very small audience, and we used that to help get us in there. And whenever we launch clips, everything that we put out kind of goes through a filter, down to title, character length, metadata, description, suggested videos, and SEO is definitely important. But I think the thing to remember is it's incredibly competitive place. There are entire businesses built just on providing SEO services to game devs and anybody else who wants to push their name up. So I would say you use that and you enhance your chances, but it's in no way a guarantee of success. And I think what you want to do is you want to be maybe in the right place at the right time, which is helpful. But I think really what you want to do is you want to be unique in some way. Maybe that's the personality you have and the character in terms of, when you present the videos. Maybe that's the nature of the content that you make or the people that you work with. There are other things that you can do as well. One thing that we always try and focus on doing is, we kind of grade our clips, and we try and have a real big clip every month, and that acts as kind of like a honey trap, almost. That's the thing that we put a lot of the money behind, that's the thing that we really want people to see. And when we do that, you bring people in and then you introduce them to content maybe by smaller creators, or it's a little bit shorter or experimental. So yeah, I think there is no single way to success. I think it's a combination of all of those things, and I think you can never stand still. You always need to assess yourself. We go through our analytics and data monthly, what does well, what doesn't do well. We try and kind of build on that. But the last thing I would say is we never rely solely on data. I think if you rely just on analytics and SEO, you're in danger of losing your soul as a YouTuber. And you kind of got to do what you've got to enjoy. Got to do what you do enjoy. And if you don't, it will show and your content won't perform.
Yeah, I think analytics will ruin your life though. Every morning I wake up and I'm in the creator app going, what have we done? Reading all the stats and stuff. But we have an example that reflects that, which is we have a show called Show of the Week, which is every single Friday. We've been doing it since we started outside Xbox, and it used to be they were basically our lowest performing videos because they were not SEO at all. The start of the title of your video is quite important for SEO, and the title is just Show of the Week. Which is, no one's searching for that, obviously. So it used to do really, really badly, but we really enjoyed doing it. It's a really nice way of introducing people to our personalities and our sense of humour and things like that. So we just kept doing it. We're doing it weekly, basically with like the odd week off, but basically every single week for 3 years. And now what we're seeing is that's the stuff the subscribers really love, because it's their way of really sort of getting in contact with us. It's we have like a feedback section where we answer comments on the show, which is a lovely bit of like interaction with our like awesome community. Like we have a great, like our commenters are amazing. So as we've gone on, those videos are now some of our more popular ones, and they do better than some of our Let's Plays, which would have been our sort of big SEO wins previously. So it's that kind of thing where, like you say, you know, analytics are important, and it's always good to, you know, kind of, if a video does really well, look at it, try and, even if you don't know for sure, try and work out some reason why that might be, and see if you can replicate it, and, you know, play around with what you're doing. But keep doing what you love as well, and, you know, if you're confident that something's good, and we spend more time writing and filming Show of the Week than on any other video on the channel, people will come around to it, and they'll probably like it. If you like it and you think it's really cool, once people start to discover it and you get more of an audience, they'll probably love it too.
So analytics can bog you down, but if you guys were to look at one stat that you like look at most in terms of measuring success, or something someone starting out should look out for, what kind of stats would you want to pick out?
Monthly revenue. Oh no, sorry. I think it's there's this lovely thing in YouTube that shows an engagement graph, and so you'll see when someone stops watching a video, or if there's a big spike where people have rewatched a bit, or maybe they linked a bit and it got shared around. And I love that, because you kind of see, you can really drill down into what was the special thing in that video, or what worked. And so we did a live action D&D series, and I loved looking at the graph, because you could just see all these little spikes, and it was every time we dropped in an animation, and basically people would then go back and they'd watch that animation again. And it meant that when we did the second series of that, we like doubled the number of animations. It meant that it took like a year to come out, but we made sure to kind of invest in the area we felt people enjoyed the most. So I really like that. It's so visual, it's so easy to understand, and it's weird. It's like being inside like your audience's brain. It's like, oh, they really didn't like that joke, whoa. But they did like that pretty picture, so more pretty pictures, none of those jokes.
I probably would have picked that had you not gone first. The other one I really like is that I was saying about suggested video is like a real drive for us. So 40% of our views come from suggested video, which is like a really, really cool number. And although we've got, you know, great views from subs and from, you know, SEO and, you know, people linking in, I really like that our high suggested video stat means that we're doing something right with those titles and thumbnails. We're producing stuff that people actually want to click on. If they see it, you know, it's not quite in the lap of the gods, but it's quite a lot in the lap of the gods when they see that thing pop up in the suggested video. But we feel really good about the fact that when people do see it, they tend to click on it, and they'll watch it, and then they maybe watch another one of our videos, because they get served up more of our videos than suggested videos. So for us, that's really important, because for me, it's a reflection of the fact that we are making content that people would want to watch if they knew it existed.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. Like, suggested videos for us is genuinely helpful. We've got a figure that's a little bit higher than that, and agree. I think that's incredible. I think retention, obviously, which is kind of what we're talking about anyway, but how long are people watching your video for, you know? I think if you're kind of like under 70%, go back to that video and have a rethink maybe about what you want to do with it. I think another thing that we look at is kind of like active monthly users. You go to some channels and they have a staggering amount of subscribers. If you actually look at how many of those subscribers are returning each month, sometimes it's, you know, a quarter, maybe below. And what that says to me is sometimes that channel has done fantastically well, but maybe, you know, the content release schedule has been reduced. Maybe they're not kind of just quite as excited about their channel as they were. You know, running a YouTube channel is an incredibly intense job. It's not 9 to 5. It's 24 hours a day. I mean, I've like, you know, briefed VO guys at 4 in the morning. You know, I deal with people kind of globally, you know, and trying to measure those things is quite difficult. I think views are obviously important, but yeah, I think views and subs are like byproducts of excellent videos with good retention, and yeah, that's what I would say. And also, how engaged is your community? How many comments are they making? How much are they talking to you and talking to each other? They're like real barometers of success for us anyway.
I like all of those are perfect. There is one thing one of my top creators does which is really clever. He'll divide his subscribers by 1,000 views, and it will then show on each video a ratio for that video, how many subs he got per 1,000 views. And so instead of just looking at a video and be like, oh, I got 300 subs from that one video, great, he can then compare how it's doing against views, which can be quite useful. Moving away from numbers, do you have a guilty pleasure on YouTube? Is that something you're really embarrassed that you love?
I got in a YouTube poll a about 2 weeks ago of the EA Sports guy. And basically, I don't know if you know the EA, but it's EA Sports. It's in the game. And basically, this guy goes to conventions, people recognise him, and basically they want to do a video with him. And every single video is exactly the same, because I assume he suggests it, and he's like, why don't you give it a go first and I'll do it? And so they're like, EA Sports, it's in the game. And he's like, oh, that's cute. EA Sports, it's in the game. And I could watch that for years. And then you click on the next one, same thing again. It's only on YouTube. You would never see that broadcast anywhere else, and yet that speaks to my soul. I love that.
I think you need to meet him because you sound as good. That would be a good meetup.
My guilty pleasure is Selena Gomez's Vivo channel.
That's really guilty.
I don't know if I have a guilty pleasure, but I mean the thing that I've been addicted to at the moment are all the John Cena vines, so Vine compilations and stuff, you know, and like it all started off. I don't know if you've seen the original video, which is a prank phone call. Which, if you haven't seen it, like I beg you to go and find it, like right now after the session, then you can come and thank me for showing you something so glorious. But yeah, all of those, like I think there was RKOs before that, John Cena. Yeah, it's so stupid, but you just can't not love it.
Madonna and was it the Brits when she fell and the cave? Yeah. So yeah, moving on from fun. What about we'll talk about a little bit about money. So I won't ask any hard questions whatsoever, I promise. The one thing people ask, and we sometimes notice, is how do you find your audience reacts to when you said the video is sponsored by X? So this is a really normal thing on YouTube.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things that is becoming more accepted because it's becoming more known and more declared, and I think that's really good. YouTube is a bit of a Wild West, mainly because, again, it's people in their bedrooms who don't know the law or don't understand quite how to disclaim content. But as it's kind of being clearer in terms of, oh, I get that that really cool thing was supported by a budget, that's really interesting. For the most part, it's when it's not genuine is when you get the backlash. When it is done for money, and less so that I lucked out, I got paid to do that. That's amazing. Idiots. They should have done that anyway. And so I think it's definitely an evolving thing, and as audiences understand that, you know, you're not selling out because it's your job, so you're getting paid to do your job, that's okay, surely. But as long as you're authentic and you disclaim it, I think everyone's kind of happy and understands it. And really our kind of big goal, as always, we only play games we like, but if we're getting paid to cover a game, we try and invest as much of that budget back into the content to really kind of show off how cool it is. So, you know, we did an amazing video for Heroes and Generals last year, and we literally had a World War II Sherman tank, we had explosions and gunfights, and it was all for a free-to-play online game, and we did it all, and we crashed their servers. It was terrible. I mean, they loved it, but you know, you couldn't play the game for 2 weeks because everyone was trying to play the game. So they still work, and it doesn't have to be a dirty thing. It's just a question of making sure that the reason you're doing it isn't 100% because of the money.
Yeah. I mean, it's not really naive, but we haven't actually done any promotional video stuff on our channel yet. It may happen. It's not something we're like actively chasing. But what I would like to say is that there are now sort of hard and fast rules, like by the Advertising Standards Agency. So I think YouTube is definitely becoming a more honest place, and those people who are less honest about what they were doing, you know, it's going to be a lot clearer to the audience, which I think is the important thing. I think promotional content's fine as long as you are fully aware that it is a you know, promotional piece of content. And I think the other thing to say is, I think what Turps was saying is that, you know, the audience is pretty smart, and they'll know if your heart's not in it. You know, if you're just going through the motions of playing some dreadful game that you've been paid to play, I think they can tell, probably. But yeah, I think there's a real sort of sense of honesty. I'll tell you what though, it hasn't stopped people thinking that we're funded by Xbox, right? So we very foolishly, clearly, set up a Just Xbox YouTube channel, and so now everyone thinks we're funded by Xbox. They must have missed all those videos where we were a bit rude about the launch of the Xbox One.
I think they went outside would signify outside.
Well, yeah, you would have thought that, but no, a lot of people are like, these guys, Microsoft employees, and like, just, I can show you a video where we're extremely rude about the Xbox, but they seem to have sorted that stuff out.
Yeah, we've actually also been tarred with funded by Microsoft Rush. We did Xbox One versus PS4 rap battle, and just at the end for a joke, we had Dodge shoot the PS4, and like they are still arguing about it right now, and we are still being accused of taking money from Microsoft. And I would love some money from Microsoft. If anybody works for Microsoft in here, please come and speak to me afterwards, and we can talk. But in terms of what these guys are saying, I've got nothing else to add beyond, you know, you've got to be authentic, you've got to be upfront if you're doing promotional content. I think if you're honest and it's obvious that you're saying that to your audience and they support you, you know, they will back you. I think it's only when you try and do stuff guerrilla style, or like they say, when it's obviously a bit of promotional content and you try and make out like it's real, that's when you're in real risk of getting burnt. And I know lots of YouTubers who are very wary of promotional stuff and have lots of kind of terms before they agree to do stuff, because it's very easy to kind of like suffer from long-term damage for what is normally kind of a short-term gain.
Yeah, I think, you know, fundamentally people watch YouTube channels because they trust the people that they're watching, and I think, you know, there'll be guys who sort of abused that trust and probably, you know, like you say, suffered long-term damage, because, well, you know, the great thing about YouTube is it democratizes making videos about video games, right? It used to be the case that you could only watch videos by IGN and GameSpot and like these big sort of multinational corporations. Now you can find someone that who has the same taste as you, same sense of humor as you, and you can trust them, and they can be sitting in their bedroom anywhere in the world and telling you about video games, and if you trust them, that's great. If you abuse that trust, then you're in real trouble as a YouTuber, because you'll lose that audience, and if they never trust you again, then they're just going to stop watching your stuff. So, you know, it makes sense to be open and honest with your audience at all times.
Okay, so with you know, abusing trust, have you ever got to a stage where you've made a video which you just can't upload but you wish you could? So it's either controversial.
So we have a video, part of a brand deal, that basically the developers backed out of, and it was for a Star Wars iOS game, and basically I get told all the time that I'm basically Ricky Gervais. So we made a version of The Office in our office where I was running like a Star Wars day, and it is my favourite video we've ever made, but we can't put it out because of, you know, we were building it under the assumption it was part of a paid thing. It's not. So it's a real shame because I love it, and it's, you know, I'm trying now to get them to commission a whole series of me being Ricky Gervais, but I don't think they're going to go for it. It's a shame, really.
I think everything we've ever uploaded has gone live, and there are definitely some videos from the early days that I'd rather delete. So I guess it ties into the fact that, you know, if you're, again, any aspiring YouTubers out there, you know, when you start out, you won't really know what you're doing, and you'll be terrible on camera, and, you know, you won't be able to write funny jokes, or if you have written funny jokes, you won't be able to deliver them without sounding really smug. But actually, as you go on, you will improve, and it's one of those things where you only ever improve by doing it and trying. And you know, whenever people ask me, you know, I want to be a YouTuber, what should I do? I'm just like, just make stuff and just keep throwing it out there. And you know, and I love stuff like when PewDiePie goes back and watches his old videos, and it's like, oh my god, I can't believe I said that. You know, I'm so boring, blah blah blah. But his style, you know, more than a lot of people, has really evolved into what it is today, from a kind of far more low-key, you know, exactly how I was when I started, and you know, how most YouTubers are. You know, no one starts this as a pro, you know, you learn from doing this.
Yeah, with that, one of the main things we always find with small channels that are about to grow, it comes down to personality. If you're just playing a game, barely speaking, just playing a game and speaking a little bit, it comes down to being a personality, and obviously these guys are definitely that. One thing I'm really excited about personally is virtual reality. We've got so many different models around. What are you guys looking forward to with virtual reality?
It's really frustrating from a YouTube and streaming perspective, because it's like trying to sell HD TVs with standard def. Is really all it is me looking like an idiot wearing a big pair of goggles, which is funny to some, but doesn't really get across the immersion of virtual reality. So I think once we see stuff like the Vive and Oculus be available for people to consume content through, and what new media that generates, that I cannot wait for. But beyond that, I mean, the Vive is just something special. That's hauntingly amazing. But I still don't know, you know, because I think a lot of people have 3D TVs. I don't ever watch anything in 3D, so I don't know if I'm just going to end up buying one of these and then it just sits in a corner like an Xbox One.
Come on. Yeah, you know, if you talk to me about VR, you're going to get a very similar thing to Mark, which is like, it's impossible to explain how amazing it is when you stick that thing on. It's not like pressing your face up against a 3D TV. It is genuinely, you know, it fills your vision. You can look around. It's a genuinely one of the most revelatory experiences in gaming. And if you have had the chance or do have the chance, I mean, I'm sure they're all sort of signed up now, but it's not going to replace gaming, but it is going to be a really, really interesting branch of gaming. And I'm also, you know, like fascinated not just in terms of gaming, but things like live events. You know, imagine being able to like virtually attend a football match or a gig or something like that. And you know, I'd like to think that maybe the future of YouTube is a VR option where you can, you know, stream a VR experience from YouTube, and then, you know, they can throw cameras out of planes, and, you know, also, you know, send them down mountains on snowboards, and you can be like, you're there. It's really, yeah, it can be quite nauseous sometimes, but they're working on that as well. So.
Well, how would you feel playing something like Alien Isolation, okay, where you're getting hunted by a xenomorph in virtual? That scares me so much. I just don't think they'd be allowed to make it. It'd be too scary.
Well, so they made a demo of Alien Isolation, so I've actually played Alien Isolation on the Oculus Rift. And the really weird thing is that game freaks me out in real life. And we did an amazing video on our channel where they hooked me up to a heart rate monitor, and I was playing the game and we had like a live heart rate feed. But the problem is, playing in VR, I was so amazed by the VR. I was like wandering up to the alien going, wow, you look amazing. They get like murderized. Yeah, so it was very strange. The other very strange thing was the surprise of looking down and seeing a lady's body, because you play as a man. It was just a momentary shock. But yeah, no, scary. I think for stuff like scary games, it could be absolutely amazing. But I'm up for that. You know.
Cool.
Yeah, I'd be the same. I'd be looking to play games that provide extreme experiences. I think that's what I'm excited by. Like something like Silent Hill before it got cancelled. I quite like games that. I mean, I love games that have fully realised worlds as well. So I think something like Portal might be kind of quite fun. I mean, I think one thing that I think maybe everybody who plays video games gets annoyed about is like, I wish I was like about 9 right now playing games. Exactly, everything's so much cooler than when I was 9. And I think I'm interested when they kind of solve like VR. I think in the next 2-3 years it's going to be happening. But what I'm interested about is when they start coming up with new ways to interface with those games. Because at the moment I've just got a more immersive screen, but I'm going to be using a control pad. Now, I'm not sure how I feel about playing video games where I would have to physically run. I mean, that's why I play video games, right? Because I don't want to run anywhere. I want somebody to do my running for me. But there's a book, it's called Ready Player One. I think Steven Spielberg's making it into a film at the moment, and it's almost like how I hope things will be maybe 15, 20 years down the line, where you have haptic suits and stuff, and I just like dream that I will still be alive.
How cool is that? You could
I would dream, seriously.
See a big musty guy and be like, look, he's built like a gamer. Look at him. He must play a lot of video games. Look at the size of his biceps. You know, that'd be cool.
Yeah, although have you seen Second Life? That's pretty much the closest thing we have to Ready Player One, isn't it?
Yeah, but I mean, Second Life.
Go in there.
I mean, Second Life is
I think we're going to move to Q&A. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Excellent. Do you need a microphone?
Yo, do you see yourselves sitting here 20 years from now with virtual Oculus Rift or one of the other things, talking to billions of people all over the world?
Yes. Hopefully still me in 20 years, I don't know. Probably there'll be an avatar I can use, so I look even more attractive than I do right now. Well, I know, but the technology could advance, we don't know. I'm blue sky thinking. I think it's only going to be more accessibility as time goes on, and we already see YouTube as a global platform, and it's weird from the games industry, they're trying to change up now. They used to have like a UK PR manager and a European PR manager, and then you're talking to us, 60% of our audience is American, but we're in the UK, so how does this work, who deals with us? And I think just as things evolve, it's going to be more and more language barriers, less so than geographic barriers. And for an event like this, biggest in the UK, let's get a load of virtual cameras and make it the biggest in the world. That'd be cool.
I think that's one of the really potentially exciting things about VR is it makes the world smaller. You know, the internet made the world smaller, and we were talking about like stats and stuff. One of the really cool things you can do with YouTube is find out where people are watching from, and I like to, you know, you get the big ones like big audience in America, big audience in the UK. I like to go to the other end and find out where like one person in the world has watched one of our videos from Antarctica, which is amazing. And in some kind of like ice base, you know, frozen solid, and they're sitting there on their phone watching one of our terrible Let's Plays. Amazing, but like, yeah, it would be really cool to have, you know, some kind of 360-degree camera thing there, and have like our, you know, all our subscribers, all our viewers live streamed in. It'd be amazing.
I like Vatican City.
Yeah, you can have like 2-pack though, like they did the hologram. Wouldn't that be cool? 2-pack up on stage talking about games. Why not? Make it happen.
Any other questions?
Hi there. My first kind of question is, what's your favourite video that you do for either of your channels?
So what's our favourite video game that we've featured on the video that we've featured on the channel? Yeah, I mentioned that heart rate monitor one. I had a lot of fun with that because it was a real. I probably did it scientifically. I spent ages sorting out like a little heart rate animation, which took me. I'm not an animator at all, but I sat there and I kind of did it all in After Effects with a tutorial, and then I was like speeding it up for things. So I spent ages on that video, probably 3 times as long as I've ever spent on any video. But it's really cool, you know, like to see that like live feedback of a really scary game and how it affects your heart rate was kind of like, I'm doing science. This is amazing. And I you know, did an English degree at uni, so I'm not a scientist either.
For me, it's probably, we did an old Forza video where we green screened ourselves with a driving wheel and used the rear view mirror in Forza to make us basically look like we were driving a real car. And it was ludicrous because we just had real fun with, you know, the craziness of that. And it's just silly videos like that, I think, kind of stick in your mind.
I think for me, my favourite video is a cartoon that we did with these guys called Flash Kits. It's called Destiny Bro, which is kind of like a takedown of Destiny and Halo. And the reason it's my favourite is like that was the clip that started like things blowing up for us. You know, that was our first clip to jump 2 million views. Like if you look at our analytics, kind of before and after, you know, you've got kind of spikes and then this huge spike. And that's another thing when you grow your channel. Once you get a spike up like that, you never go kind of lower than what it was before. So yeah, it means a lot to me because that was when things started getting serious and people started coming to us rather than us going to them with a, you know, a cap in hand, like please work with us. So yeah.
We've got time for one more question.
Hello. So, Mark, you actually mentioned about animation. It would be interesting to see a streamed animation process. There's an indie dev, there's Loot Dare Game Jam, and one of the top streamers on that will have about 1,000 to 4,000 viewers throughout that weekend. Do you think that's got more grounds and something to watch developers?
Yeah, I think the feedback you get on live streaming is amazing across all mediums. And I think game development, if you were developing a character and all of a sudden you found out, I don't know, maybe you develop like a sniper and she's wearing no clothes, but she breathes through her skin, so it's okay. And then actually people are like, no, that's still a bit, no, like, you know, surely she could just wear like a slightly less revealing outfit. That sort of input early in the development process could be really useful. So I would love to see more things like that. The crowd mind that's out there, the number of man hours we can have thinking over things on a shared thing like that. I think if Twitch can play Pokemon, having Twitch makes a game, or YouTube Gaming makes a game, would be amazing. And I'd love to see the monstrosities that would come from it.
Yeah, I think that's the great thing about you know, engines like Unity and Unreal and things like that is you can build stuff really quickly, you can really rapidly prototype stuff, and having been to a couple of game jams, it's fascinating to watch these things just sort of spring up from seemingly nowhere. So to kind of, yeah, bring the interactivity of a live stream to that process would be fascinating. So someone who's much smarter than me, please do that.
One more final one.
As a very small fledgling gaming channel, we say it's at door. What would be the one active piece of promotion you would recommend that we do outside SEO and thumbnails and all that kind of stuff?
Find similar channels that are slightly higher on the ladder than you and collaborate. Expose yourself to their audiences, but through gaming, not through exposing yourself. And a lot of people think when they hear collaboration, they think, oh, okay, cool, I'll send an email to OXbox, PewDiePie, something like that. But it is just kind of gradually working your way up the ladder. You'll gain more respect and you'll be able to get through more doors once you are a larger entity yourself. And that's all it is. If you're doing good stuff, you just need to try and shout as loud as you can to as many people, and once they watch it, they'll agree with you, I'm sure. Cool, yeah, there.
You can't beat that.
I definitely think he's right. If you've done all of the kind of the basics and you don't have kind of like money to do anything else, I definitely think collaboration is the best way to do things. Yeah, in many ways.
I'll just quickly add because this is the only question I'm actually qualified to answer for the whole thing. Collaborations are great, sometimes they can be hard to attain, sometimes the right person to find them, there's no talent. The thing about audience development is getting every little detail right all together. Doing one thing on its own like SEO or create content doesn't do it, but when you actually start doing it all together, you do see the difference. And not plugging, but the Creator Academy does list the different things, so it can really help.
I think just to give a slightly different answer from collaboration, I think one thing, I don't know how big your channel is and how many sort of comments and bits of feedback you get. Comment threads can be horrible, like really, really awful sort of personal attacks and things, but one thing I would say is that something I think served us quite well on Outside Xbox is, when you do get a piece of legitimate criticism, is not to just kind of dismiss it as internet commenting and just go back to it. It kind of comes back to that thing I was saying about trying to work out what works, but also trying to work out what hasn't worked. And if there is a criticism in there, take it on the chin and think, well, what can I do to it? Rather than going, oh God, this idiot is criticising me. Take it on the chin and think, well, what can I do to fix this? How can I improve it next time? It's sort of a left field thing. It's not really a sort of commercial piece of advice, but I think it will set you in good stead as a creator to not so much develop a thick skin, but just to recognise constructive criticism when you get it and try and act on it.
I'd like to say thank you to these guys for this awesome panel. Yeah.
Thanks for coming. Our next session is